like that?
Yeah, let me start by greeting members of the media. Good afternoon, everybody. Um, Before the match, let's congratulate first Stellenbosch. I think they've had an incredible season, and the work that Stevie Barker and his technical team is amazing. And of course, commiserations on the results today. But that I don't think that dampens the reflection of their football club, because I think they've been very good, and they had a good run in the cup. To get to the semi-finals of any competition is something that you should never take for granted. And so I want to start there. Then I want to congratulate our football club, Mamelodi Sundowns. Congratulations for getting into our third cup final in the season. It's not been an easy season, but we've done exceptionally well, and I'm very proud of everybody involved, the support staff, from the kitchen to the ground staff, including our technical team, senior management, the Motsepe family, and then of course the special group of players. And unbelievable. I don't know how they keep doing this. Keep going every 2 3 days. Just keep going and keep going. Four changes in the lineup, but still keep going. They're real mentality monsters, mad dogs, and I'm very proud of them. And I think they deserve to be in the final. On the match, I think we also got the tactics right today. We spent a lot of time watching Stellies. There wasn't a lot of time to prepare on the pitch, but we used that time for video. A very awkward side that don't throw too many numbers ahead of the ball, but the numbers that they do throw ahead of the ball are fast players with huge capacity to arrive in your box, like Aura, Van Rooyen with late runs, Pasadine from a left fullback position, even with Rain as the focal point with runs behind your fullbacks, and then Titus. And then, of course, like the trend is always Van Beek comes off the bench, and he increases the intensity and the tempo. And so we beat a very good side, and I think that we got the tactics right. The game became a bit complicated after we missed the penalty. But it's bittersweet, because I look at it and I say to myself, I want us to score the penalty, and I'm very proud of Peter with a difficult run, still putting up his hand and saying, "I want to take it." I'm very proud of him for showing that mentality. But I'm more proud of this football team and this group of players. When I say to you that they are good human beings, this is exactly what I mean. And they sacrifice the penalty, and they say, "Let's give it to Peter." And this shows what type of group we have, and the type of players that we have. And I'm very proud of them for demonstrating that selflessness, and that brotherhood, to try to get Peter on the score sheet, so that his confidence can improve and get better. And it's an amazing group of players, and I'm very proud of them.
Thank you very much, Coach. Okay, question from the floor. Okay,
Coach, would you say maybe you lucky in a sense that especially with Divan making that second challenge and avoiding the yellow card, uh, perhaps maybe.
I think even before I go to the second incident, I thought the first yellow was a bit soft. And I watched some of the games. I watched a lot of the games. There was a game I watched. I won't mention the name. And then I heard the commentator, and I think it was Mark Leeson actually, who commended the referee and said he's managing the game, because that foul happened a little bit too early for the stature of the game. And I think I'm not. If I stand to be corrected, Big Mark. And then when I look at that one with Divine, and I looked at it again, and I said, the first one maybe is a little bit too harsh, especially also profile of the game, the time so early, blah 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 blah. You can go into that space, and then of course he puts himself on the edge when he goes for the second situation. But it also starts because we allow the ball to be delivered that area, and then it becomes a speed race. and then it's a bit difficult, you know. But I think some of them go your way, some of them don't go your way, and then we were forced to contribute to the performance of the team because we could go with it the way we could go with it, or we could make the sub, and we decided to make the sub, and I thought we were spot on with our subs today, even at halftime to introduce Lodge for Tesh, and Tesh was playing well, but Tesh has just come back into the rhythm, and playing 90 minutes a few days ago is not easy for him. And so I knew that if I don't make a change at halftime, I lose an opportunity for a stoppage. And then I've got 4 subs to make with only 2 stoppages in a cup game, and that becomes very, very difficult. And so there were a lot of small details that we had to pay attention to, and I think today we were spot on with that, and yeah, I don't know. It can go that way. They can manage the situation, but maybe you've got to compliment the referees for trying to manage the game of a semi-final, leaving it 11 versus 11, and maybe not causing as much controversy as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And maybe that was the thinking from the officials. I don't know. But like I say, my first instinct is that maybe the first yellow card, the first incident where he got a yellow card, I thought that was a little bit soft. And maybe then when he goes for that second one, that's the one that he should have gotten a yellow for, in my opinion. And then you're not talking about whether it should be a send off or not. But that's perspective, and it's a perspective I choose because I will always protect my players and my team, and be biased in my outlook on things.
Coach, just how emotionally taxing has those last 8 days been? From the exit of the Champions League to the 2 league games to this. I mean, on yourself and on everybody else.
No, it's been tough, Rob. It's been amazing. It's been a roller coaster ride. And there's no moments that we won the league. The next day at training, Ronwen Williams says to me, "Hey, can you smile a little bit?" And I said to him, "In the good moments, I try, and I've learned this because I've failed so many times. When you live, and I have to thank the people that raised me. When you live life, you experience more failures than successes, and what that teaches you is that in the good moments, you're not too high, but also in the bad moments, you're not too low. And I think that helps you live in a space of equilibrium. You move with life and you accept, and that's why I'm a big Stoic fan, because you accept what is, and understanding that you can only make so much of the influence in relation to what happens with the events, and that's the way I approach life. I focus on the things I can control, which is the work ethic, the intensity, the energy, the lineup, the tactics, the watching the games, the training sessions. Those things I put 100% focus on, and then the rest is amorfati. You have to allow the universe to decide. I read something so powerful the other day, in fact, to answer your question, and I don't want to change this into a religious session, but I read something very powerful the other day, and it said, at times we pray to God and ask to eat, but then we complain about the amount of food that is on our table. You pray to God and you ask to be the best, you want to be the champion, you want to coach Sundowns, you want to win things, these are our prayers. But then God gives you, and he says, okay, it's got a price to it. And now you're complaining about the price, but yet you asked for the divine blessings. And so when they say blessings and burdens are cousins, I suppose this is exactly what they mean.
Coach, can I ask you if a double, winning the league and cup double, which is a rarity in this country, plus being the first side to ever finish a league season unbeaten, would that make up for the disappointment of the Champions League, given that Champions League, as you've said on many occasions, is your top priority?
No, I'm still reeling, and I'm talking personally. I am still reeling. Someone tried to console me and said to me, "You've got a double already. You've got the AFL and you've got the league title. So why are you still reeling?" But I'm reeling. I must say to you, I feel like I've let the club down. I feel like I've let the supporters down. I feel like I've let this group down because it's my job to lead, and when we fail, it's my job to stand in front and assume the responsibility. So I don't think it will make up for it. We deserve to be in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Based on the performance of the semi-final in the second leg, I think we did enough to give ourselves a chance to be in the final. Things didn't go away, and when I say you need luck a little bit in the Champions League, this is exactly what I mean. You know, in a moment where we had momentum and creating chances, there was a thunderstorm that stopped the game, and then there was an injury to Maseko, and all these things they play. You know, so for 45 minutes to deal with pressure, to 20 minutes of dealing with pressure is completely different, and then the anxiety of having to play in the next 45 minutes, and that's it's not easy. The unavailability of our stadium for a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday with an extra day to recover, and the conditions of altitude and heat against a North African side. Those things are minute details, but they are minute details that could swing things into your favor. But we didn't have those, you know. So I can't complain. I've got to accept, as I said, even from a philosophical perspective, I've got to accept what is and what the situation is, but that doesn't minimize the pain. The pain is still very, very deep, and I've already apologized to the club, and now I can apologize once again for that failure because I take it on my shoulders, and but that doesn't mean you don't try again and try again and try again, because eventually we will win the Champions League, but we've got to continue and persist, because it's not an easy competition to win, and you've seen it. How many trophies have with the teams that were in the last four? It was just myself and Kola that were in the semifinals again, back to back. No other coach was there. And then for the first time, we did a back to back semifinal appearance where Wydad, Al Ahly, Esperance have been doing 7, 6 in a row. You know what I mean? And then you've got possibilities of saying, of the last four that were in the Champions League, there was 21 trophies, 21 trophies or win trophies, Champions Leagues, and we had one. Al Ahly had more than everybody else. Mazembe had 5, Esperance had 4, but we had one. And so sometimes when I speak about this thing, I'm just putting it into context how difficult this competition is. But that doesn't mean we don't hope, we don't work, we don't dream of winning it. We are still gonna try and win it and still try. And I'm 100% sure that Sundowns will win the Champions League. One day, Sundowns will win the Champions League.
Really?
Coach, so you have already won the league, your most important game. It's 1st of June against Pirates in the final. So how do you approach the next 3 and odd weeks, or if the drive for finishing the season unbeaten, does that keep you going before that game?
Now we have to arrive in that for that game in a good space. That's the most important thing. We need to know that we have to arrive there in good form, with good confidence, because that's the best way to arrive in a final, is arrive in good form with good confidence, and knowing that you're going to be playing against a very good side.
We will finish up in front.
Coach, congratulations on reaching the final.
Thank you, sir.
You've played 12 games in the last 37 days. That's like an average of 3, you know. Over the same period, Chiefs have played 6, Pirates have played 8, Stellies have played 9, you know. You were the only team that played a league game in between, you know, the Champions League semifinals. Do you think the league would have maybe helped you and not have, you know, a game scheduled in between the semifinals like all the others had?
I don't want to answer that, because if I answer it, I might get myself into big trouble. What I will say to you is, I want you to go to Jurgen Klopp's interview a few days ago. when Jurgen Klopp speaks about the failure of the English teams not making it into the European semi-finals, both Champions League and the Europa League, and he makes and people they say, but you've got 36 players, it's not like Liverpool with 22. But the reality is our travel is a lot more extensive than the European travel. To go from, for an example, from England, let's say London as Arsenal, and you're going to go and play Porto in Lisbon, how long is that flight? But to go from South Africa to go and play Esperance in Tunisia, how long is that flight? And then you leave 2 days or 3 days before, which means you've got a training session or two on the other side. And that means you need not more than 11 players or more than 20 players because of the possibilities of injuries, the possibilities of anything happening. And so when we travel with almost the entire squad. And so it's not about rotation, it's about, and the number of players, it's actually about the accumulation of fatigue of playing games instead of having time to prepare and all of this. And Jurgen Klopp puts it so nicely. He puts it, and I think I would be doing, and you know what, he ends, you know how he ends it so well. He says, and this is coming from an old man who's about to leave the game. So I want to end it by saying, this is coming from a young man who's wet behind the ears and knows half of what Jurgen Klopp knows, and therefore it's better for the young man to listen to what Jurgen Klopp said.
On that note, Coach, thank you very much for your
Thank you
time.
very